game 1, Jan started with white. He played a Spanish. Ding responded with a Berlin defense. Then Jan played a shocking move. Bishop takes the knight on c6. This has only been played in 5% of all the master games. The game continued with Jan placing substantial pressure on Ding until the climax of the match. I'll let Levy take it from here.
If I could take you up in paradise, I suppose. If you will tell me I'm the only one that you know. Life could be a dream, sweetheart.
The bishop guards this pawn and this pawn, the two massive weaknesses of the black position. The pieces are stuck on the back rank. He infiltrates again with the knight, but Ding meets him at the top. Queen to d7, queen to b8. Let's trade. Let's trade. You got nothing else. Ding creates an impenetrable fortress of pieces and pawns, and Jan runs into a brick wall. There is nothing that you can do anymore.
The game then proceeded to end in a draw. Liren started with the white pieces this time. Ding played a weird opening, trying to confuse Jan, which worked, except then Jan played a very strange move, knight a5, which completely threw Ding out of prep. Ding then played an inaccurate move right after that and never recovered. Jan pressed his advantage and ended up winning the game on time. Jan played a queen's gambit, which is rare considering he usually plays e4, the king's pawn, and not d4, the queen's pawn. He tries to bait Ding into playing a Nimzo Indian defense, but Ding throws a curveball and instead plays a queen's gambit declined, which is slightly inaccurate because of the move order, but it throws Jan off a bit. The players continued to play until they drew the game with a threefold repetition of moves. In game 4, Ding plays an English. He got the best position in this match than he's had in the entire championship. Then, Jan made a terrible mistake. Levy will explain better than I can.
In this position, Jan Nepomniachtchi plays the move knight to d4. He plays that move in 2 minutes. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Knight d4, the idea was queen f4, and something like c6. But after knight to d4, in this position, Ding Liren sacrificed the rook! Rook takes d4, and after c takes d4, nobody cares about the f4 pawn any longer, as the pony is now going to gallop to b3, to d4, to f5, to c6, to e7, and the legendary pawn chain of Ding Liren reigns supreme. Black can play c5 to try to hold it all together, but Ding Liren is not going to fall for the trick of en passant. He's going to play d6, and if you take his pawn on e6, he's going to play queen d5, pinning the pawn to the rook to the king, and if you play f5 defending that, he's going to play d7.
Ding continues to press his advantage until Jan resigned. In game 5, Jan plays with white and played Spanish because he likes the Spanish. Not the country, not the people, the opening. Jan spent 6-ish minutes on 23 moves. To put that in perspective, that is about 15.5 seconds per move, which is insane considering this is a world championship match. I mean, I spend like roughly 15 seconds on each move, but then again, I haven't even cleared 1500 ELO yet, so, I mean... Jan had a 40-ish time advantage on Ding. Jan continues to press his advantage until Ding resigned. In game 6, Ding Liren, one of the most highly rated players in the world right now, played the most legendary, most tactically challenging, the sharpest opening in chess. Then you may ask what it is. He played the London system. Now, before you laugh, let me tell you that Ding Liren won this game. How, you may ask? Well, it can be best shown by the one and only GothamChess.
would you like to know what the move d5 sets up? Pawn push to d5 sets up one of the most disgusting queen sacrifices ever played in a world championship. Pawn to d5 sets up a brutal checkmating combination by force. How? It has to do with the king not being able to escape to e6. But what happens when black defends against all of that? Well, knight to g6, rook g8. Where's the win? I don't understand. And I got news for you. Remember how I told you that the move d5 sets up an absolutely brutal combination? Well, in this position, white is no longer winning. White has thrown it all away, except for one move, which Ding had seen when he pushed his pawn confidently to d5. In this position, seemingly on the verge of holding everything and saving the game, Jan Nepomniachtchi succumbed to queen f7. What the hell does that do? The move queen to f7 sets up an unstoppable checkmate. How? It sets up queen takes rook, rook a8. If this, then this, but that's not the cool thing. If this, then this. The pawn on d5 prevents the king from escaping.
In game 7, Jan tried to play e4, but then Ding Liren played a French defense. The game was very sharp on both sides of the board. Ding was winning towards the end of the game, but then he froze at the board. Like, his brain literally shut down and he could physically not make a move to play a piece. And this resulted in him losing on time. Ding plays a Queen's Gambit and Jan responds with a Nimzo Indian defense. Then Ding plays the stupidly brilliant Rook A2. During this game, a random person following the match realized that this game had occurred in a match between two players on Chess who also had linked accounts to chess.com. This position and others that had occurred during the championship were found in games between these two players. People think that this could be games between Ding and his training partner, but of course, no one knows for sure. Ding then proceeds to dominate in the game until Jan throws a Hail Mary and bluffs a tactic to make a draw. Levy, take it away.
Give up the rook completely, and you play queen e4, and you are looking for a draw. However, this is a bluff. Queen h4 is a bluff. Why? It turns out, after queen d8, queen e4, rook e2, queen b1, king d2, queen b2, check here. White is winning by sacrificing the rook, king to e4, and if queen c2, there are no more checks. I have never seen something like this. The brave king needs to walk into the center of the board like this. Queen takes d3, and there is queen f6, double queen, and the king is safe. This is sickening. This is... What on earth even is this? Queen to e4, the king walks out. I mean, this is what Ding Liren now has to find with the move queen h4 on the board. Does Ding see queen d8, queen e4, rook e2, and this entire unbelievable sequence? No! The bluff works!
The game unfortunately ended in a draw. I have a confession to make. I recorded audio for these three games, games 9, 10, and 11, but, well, the audio sucked and nothing really happened in these games. So, I'd like to take a moment to say that if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe, and if you don't, well, not sure why you're still watching. Let's get back to this normal video. Now, I was worried that the World Chess Championship would be as boring as the last two games. Or last three games, I should say. But little did I know that Game 12 was coming. In Game 12, Ding started with a London, if you can call it that. He started like a normal London, but then played e3, blocking in his dark squared bishop. This game was super intense with both players missing critical moves to win the game until Jan played.
And in this position, Game 12, World Championship match, leading 6-5, Jan Nepomniachtchi plays the move F5. And the evaluation pogo sticks to the stars as Jan gives up the entire house, burns all his bridges, and tries to go all in. But after rook e6, it's over. It's over.
This was the losing move of the game that Jan could not recover from, and he resigned Game 12. Game 13, Jan played his tried and true Spanish opening, but then played some strange moves that I honestly cannot explain. Basically, Jan is playing the Spanish in a new way. The game continued until Ding makes a mistake, if you can call it that. This move that he made, mistake if you want to call it that, only solidifies the fact that I don't think I'll ever be a grandmaster. I mean, I don't even understand how you're supposed to see the difference between that move and the move he should have played.
Ding plays queen e7. It's not a bad move, but it is. Queen d4. Now, what was the difference between queen e8, queen d4, and queen e7, queen d4? The difference was the fact, and you're going to see this in the game, that first of all, there is knight e3. That is a major difference. You can shove the knight in the way, and then bishop takes e4. The reason you cannot play knight e3 with the queen there and the queen there is after this bishop g3, the queen is standing in the way of the bishop. That is a major, major problem for black. Black doesn't have enough room. You needed the queen on e8, so that after queen d4, knight e3, and this entire same sequence, bishop g3 hits this, bishop c5. So Ding had to go here to keep the bishop open. He needed to not block his own bishop. That is some giga-dank stuff, okay? Chess is a brutal game sometimes. You just had to not close your own bishop.
After this, they trade off all the pieces and make a draw.
If I could take you up in paradise, I suppose. If you would tell me I'm the only one that you know.
In Game 14, Ding plays a Queen's Gambit, baiting a Nimzo Indian defense. The game was fairly even, then Jan played, and it's such an insane move that I cannot even begin to understand how.
But Jan plays this, inducing the move rook c4, offering a trade and simultaneously defending the pawn, and then he goes here. What the heck is the difference? This is how chess grandmasters think. This position is the right way to do this. Why? Because if you do this with the white rook 2 squares back, then after the move knight to c5 and rook to c7, there is a pin and the rook is way, way further back, right? So the rook for white is way further back, but the knight can still be supported, okay? That's number one. But the craziest detail here is the fact that if the knight goes out this way, black will mobilize and come here. That's the threat. And there is rook g4 protecting that. However, if black plays the move rook d4 first, then after this, nobody can go here because knight g6, rook g4, there is a fork. By inducing white to play the rook forward, you have now removed the option to bring the rook to g4. This is some giga brain stuff, all right? That is why Jan played rook to d4 first, so that his opponent plays a rook move, and then he attacks the knight, and now the knight can go here.
The game then proceeded to end in a draw with many insane moves played by both players. If there was one video that I would recommend you watching, it would be this video. Now, you may be wondering why you don't know who became the world champion. Or maybe you know that the world championship match extended into tiebreaks. But in the next segment, the world champion will be crowned for better or for worse. Now, there's 4 more games that were played in the tiebreaks. The way the tiebreaks work is that the players play 4 games of 25-minute chess. Whoever gets 2.5 points first wins. Spoiler alert, they didn't make it past game 4. Let's get into the first game. In game 1, Ding, or I guess 15 if you want to call it that, Ding started with the London, but it transformed into a kind of reversed Queen's Gambit accepted. The game continued until Jan played a disgusting move. Levy, take it away.
Stockfish stopped liking White's position because Jan Nepomniachtchi in this position plays a move that is so nasty. Have you ever sacrificed your queen? Do you blunder your queen? Is that a thing that you do? B6, CB6, what? A queen blunder in the world championship? He gave up his queen. Pawn takes, rook takes queen is 100% free. Well, it ain't. It's a prank, bro. Rook c7, knight f3, the rook stops guarding this. If you go king f1, you walk into a fork, you lose a queen by fork, and you walk into another one, double forked, all right? And this is just mate. A full queen down, mate is unstoppable. Oh my god, knight b5, he has to go back, and suddenly all the pieces come off the board, and we're gonna get a little bit of a draw here by repetition of moves. All right, and you're not going out this way because otherwise you're gonna lose your rook. So you gotta keep touching the rook. Otherwise, rook takes the game. 1 ends in a draw. Oh my god!
In game 2, Jan started with can you guess it? Spanish. Getting so bored of this opening. The game continued until the board transformed into an endgame where the players drew. In game 3, Ding decided to spice things up. Hey, stop it, not like that. Ah! He played the ready, which transformed into the Neo-Catalan. They continued to play until the game ended in another draw. This is the game you have all been waiting for. Jan started with White and played a boring old Spanish. Honestly, I'm getting kind of sick of the Spanish Open. I've seen it so many times during this World Championship match. The game continued until, well, let Levy explain it.
And here, the move heard around the world, rook g6! He played it with a minute! He said, no, I don't want to draw. What? Is he out of his mind? I don't want to draw. He wants to lose this world championship, h4, h5. I mean, I don't know, you name it. He can't push either of his pawns. Ding Liren is playing for a win with a minute on the clock. Jan, immediately devastated by this news, plays queen f5, which is a minor inaccuracy. It's not a big deal. And he plays pawn to c4 to advance. Ding, h4, and all of a sudden, here comes queen d3. By threatening a queen trade, the queen escapes all the way back home, and the rook is behind the pawn, and Ding Liren is completely winning. He is completely winning. He's just going to push his c-pawn. Queen a8, rook d6. Oh, he's not completely winning anymore. This is completely nuts. So instead of playing rook d6, he just had to go forward. Yes, rook d8 looks scary or something, but there's nothing. He just had to be brave. He just had to be brave. Instead, he trades the rooks. Queen e4, queen g6, but what? Wait, he has no advantage anymore. Bishop to d4, and now Jan is going to threaten mate. And the bishop is hanging, and the pawn is hanging, and you can't just play a3, right? Surely you can't just play... Wait a minute, he just played a3. And in this position, Jan now has a draw again, but it's impossible to find. It's this. You can't sack a bishop here to force a draw. It's apparently perpetual check. I mean, the computer sees it. But also, Jan can play h5, burying the king and disallowing advancement. But he plays queen c7. And Ding Liren now comes back, pushes his pawn, and Jan cannot stop both pawns. Ding brings the bishop back, plays h5 himself, centralizes his bishop, and now there is a red carpet for all of his pawns. g4, hg, h5, and on move 68 of the 18th game of the World Chess Championship 2023, Jan Nepomniachtchi resigned, and Ding Liren, against all odds, is the new classical world champion. Although it was decided in rapid, which is weird. But that's the way it works. Oh my, the first time Ding Liren led in this match, he won it. He has not led in this match at all. In fact, he trailed in this match 4 different times. In fact, in a game where he was already down 1, he was lost, and he won that game. I mean...
If you enjoyed this video, subscribe and check out my other videos, which I'm sure you will enjoy.